You never forget the moment someone makes you feel small on purpose, especially when they smile while doing it. The restaurant was louder than I expected. One of those trendy places where the lights are low, but the tension is high. Still, I told myself tonight would be worth it. It was the first time I was meeting Michael's co-workers, people he constantly described as game changers and real players. I had picked my outfit carefully. Not flashy, just respectful. I even practiced a polite laugh in the mirror. That's how badly I wanted to be seen. Or maybe just accepted. I thought tonight would be the next step in something real. But Michael didn't even look up when I arrived. No smile. No hand reaching for mine. Just a sideways glance as he muttered, "Took you long enough." I froze for a second, wondering if I'd misheard. But the others were already laughing at something, glasses clinking, so I forced a smile and sat beside him. Throughout the evening, he barely acknowledged me. When I tried to join the conversation, he interrupted. When I made a joke, he winced and said, "Ignore her, she gets nervous around intelligent people." They laughed. Not all of them, but enough to make it sting. By the time dessert came, I was holding my water glass with both hands to stop them from shaking. And then, the moment. One of his colleagues, a woman named Denise, complimented the earrings I was wearing. "He must have good taste," she said with a kind smile. Michael smirked. "Those?" "No, she picked them. She's still learning the difference between classy and cheap." My breath caught. The table went silent. Even the server paused beside us, unsure whether to set down the plates. Then he stood up. "Anyway, it's been fun. But I think I'm done here, with dinner and with her." And just like that, he walked out. No explanation. No glance back. He left me at the table, stunned, surrounded by eyes that didn't know whether to look away or pretend they hadn't heard. When the check came, the server handed it directly to me. Of course he did. I paid in silence. No tears. Not yet. But as I stepped into the night air, I felt something deeper than heartbreak. Humiliation. And the strange, aching knowledge that I had let someone like that hold the pen to my self-worth even for a moment. There's a special kind of pain in reliving a humiliation you couldn't stop, but even in that replay, something shifts. I didn't cry until I got home. There's something about holding it together in public that makes the breakdown in private even messier. I locked the door behind me, kicked off my heels, and collapsed onto the couch without turning on the lights. The silence hit harder than the insult had. I kept hearing his voice. That smirk behind the words. Classy and cheap. Done with her. I replayed it over and over, searching for the point where I could have stopped it. Should I have said something? Laughed it off? Thrown the wine in his face? But I hadn't. I just sat there, frozen. Like an actor who forgot her line mid-scene, hoping someone would rescue her from the script. Around 11:30, my best friend Claire showed up uninvited, as always, and thank God for that. She had a pint of mint chip in one hand and a bottle of wine in the other. "I saw the posts," she said, gently setting them down. "Denise put something vague on her story. I figured you might need sugar and sass." I didn't even answer. I just started crying again, harder this time. Claire sat beside me, scooping ice cream with a serving spoon. "Babe, I hate to say it, but we've had questions about him for a while. I just didn't want to be the friend who ruined your joy." That stung. Not because she was wrong, but because I had suspected it too. I just didn't want to admit I'd built something on someone I barely knew. And then she added, casually, "Also, did you know he doesn't actually work at that fancy tech firm?" I blinked. Claire pulled out her phone, scrolled, and showed me a screenshot. My cousin interned there last summer. Never heard of him. So I checked LinkedIn. He doesn't even have a profile. Just vague job titles and inspirational quotes. The room spun. Everything, the expensive dinners, the constant name-dropping, the business trips he never posted about, it all started to crack apart like thin ice. My chest hurt. Not from love lost.
From embarrassment. I had defended him. Trusted him.
Let him define how I saw myself.
And for what? A fantasy. I wasn't angry yet. That would come later. Right now, I was just starting to understand the truth. He didn't break me. He fooled me.
And there's a big difference. The best revenge doesn't start with rage, it starts with a well-placed question.
I didn't wake up angry. I woke up focused.
There's a clarity that comes after a storm when the tears dry, the fog lifts, and your mind stops spinning in circles and starts drawing lines.
Michael was a liar. Not just a little white lie kind of liar. A built his entire identity on smoke and mirrors kind of liar.
And for the first time in weeks, I wanted answers more than I wanted closure.
I started small.
I went back through our texts, his photos, the stories he'd told me. The client dinners, the investor meetings, the trips to San Francisco where he'd always say, "No signal, big pitches tomorrow."
There were gaps. Inconsistencies.
One weekend he claimed to be at a summit in Seattle, but a co-worker of Claire's saw him at a local coffee shop.
So I reached out.
First to Denise, the woman at the dinner who'd complimented my earrings. I sent a short, careful message. "Hey, I know we don't really know each other, but I wanted to ask you something about Michael.
I think I've been misled, and I'm just trying to get the facts."
She responded in 5 minutes. Turns out, she didn't work with Michael. She worked near him on a different floor in a building he visited sometimes because a friend let him use the conference room. "We all thought it was weird," she wrote. "He said he was in stealth mode with a startup, but he never actually did anything."
Another message came later that night.
This one from a guy named Jamie, a mutual acquaintance I barely remembered. "Saw your name come up in a convo, just so you know, Mike's been running the same game on a few women."
Always the entrepreneur angle. Sorry you had to deal with it. That was the moment I stopped feeling foolish and started feeling furious. Not at myself. At him. He didn't just lie. He performed. He rehearsed.
And worst of all, he humiliated me as a grand finale.
So I made a plan.
I knew his family adored him, or, more likely, adored the version of him he sold them.
Wealthy. Driven. Successful.
I wondered what they'd think of the man behind the curtain.
And suddenly, I knew exactly where I'd see them next. His birthday. A family dinner. He'd invited me weeks ago. I hadn't RSVP'd. But now? Now, I had something to deliver. Not revenge. Just reality.
Nothing shatters illusion faster than the truth spoken at a table set for praise.
I wasn't supposed to be there. At least, that's what Michael thought.
The dinner was at his parents' home, a beautiful colonial-style house in a quiet neighborhood where everyone trimmed their hedges and waved just a second too long. I arrived 10 minutes early, gift bag in hand, heart pounding beneath my neatly pressed blouse.
Claire came with me. She insisted. Not for drama. For backup.
Inside, the dining room was lit with soft candles and well-rehearsed smiles. His mother greeted me like nothing had happened.
"Oh.
You made it after all," she beamed, air-kissing both my cheeks like she hadn't read his social media post last week that said I had emotional issues and couldn't handle success.
Michael froze when he saw me. Just for a second. Then he recovered. Of course he did. He always recovered. That was his trick. "Didn't think you'd come," he said smoothly, walking over. "We should talk later." I smiled. Definitely. We all sat.
His father toasted to the brightest mind in the family. His sister gave him a framed photo of a vacation they never actually took, one he claimed he was too busy with work to attend.
He soaked it up. Every compliment. Every proud gaze.
And I watched him, steady and silent, waiting.
Until dessert.
"I hope it's okay," I said, gently setting my fork down, "but I brought someone else."
Denise stepped out from the hallway. His smile cracked.
"She wanted to say something," I added.
And she did. With calm precision, Denise laid it out. The fake job. The borrowed office space. The falsified travel photos. She even had an email printout from a real employee who had confirmed Michael never worked at the company he bragged about.
His mother blinked.
Wait, what?
His sister frowned.
Michael?
He stood up too fast. This is ridiculous. You're bitter. You're trying to make me look bad because I dumped you.
Claire rose beside me. She's not the only one. There's more. And honestly? We were trying to keep this private.
His father looked down at his plate.
And for once, Michael had no comeback. No smirk. No story to spin. The table stayed silent. I didn't yell. I didn't gloat.
I just looked at the people who had once treated me like an accessory and said, "You deserve the truth."
Now you have it. Then we left. No applause. No music swell.
Just the sound of illusion cracking, piece by piece, behind us. The louder the lie falls apart, the more vicious its echo becomes.
It didn't take long. By the time I got home, my phone had already buzzed 11 times. Missed calls. Texts. Voicemails. All from him. The first few were full of denial. How dare you ambush me like that? You humiliated me in front of my family. You're obsessed, this is harassment.
Then came the spiral. I swear to God, I'll tell everyone what you really are.
You want war? You got it. He started posting online.
Passive-aggressive captions, cropped photos from our time together, even an old voicemail he twisted out of context to paint me as unstable. The kind of stuff designed to poke, to provoke, to pull me back into his narrative.
But it didn't work. I didn't answer. Didn't reply. Didn't post.
Claire helped me set all my profiles to private.
Denise flagged the posts that mentioned our names.
Jamie, the mutual friend who first messaged me, started responding to Michael's lies in the comments, calmly correcting every detail. And then, quietly, more people began to reach out.
Not to him. To me. Women he'd dated before. Co-workers. A former roommate.
They'd all seen flashes of the same behavior, the lies, the charm, the cracks.
No one had ever said anything. Until now. I kept everything. Screenshots. Messages. Voice memos. Because beneath the tantrum, something darker began to flicker. The threats became less about my reputation and more about my safety.
He said he knew where I lived, which, of course, he did. He said he might just drop by to talk.
I didn't panic. I prepared.
Locks were changed. Claire stayed over. And Denise, brave, steady Denise, made a call to someone in legal.
Just in case. I wasn't afraid of him anymore. But I wasn't naive, either.
Because when a liar's mask slips, and everyone sees what's underneath, the shame doesn't sit quietly.
It thrashes. And sometimes, it knocks on your door.
When someone tries to drag you back into the fire, your job is simple: don't burn.
He came at night. Of course he did. The kind of knock that isn't a question, it's a demand. For quick, hard raps on the door like he still owned the right to be heard. Claire and I froze. I glanced at the clock, 10:42 p.m. I didn't move toward the door. I didn't need to.
Through the peephole, I saw him, hair a mess, pacing like a man unraveling by the second.
Open up, he hissed. You're blowing this way out of proportion.
Behind me, Claire already had her phone in hand.
She didn't wait for permission. She hit dial and whispered, "It's him. She needs help." He kept knocking, louder now. "Don't make me come back," he said. "Let's be adults about this."
His voice cracked at the edges.
No confidence. No charisma. Just chaos. Minutes later, headlights flooded the driveway. Two people stepped out, his sister and their cousin, Jamie.
They'd seen the messages.
They'd seen the posts.
And they weren't here to take his side.
Jamie got between Michael and the door.
"You need to leave," he said firmly.
"Now." Michael laughed. A bitter, hollow sound. "You too?" Unbelievable.
His sister stepped in.
"You've lied. You've harassed her. This isn't who we were raised to be." Michael turned on her.
"I made this family look good." "No," she said quietly.
"You made us look away." That shut him up. The police arrived 10 minutes later.
I didn't press charges that night, but I filed a report.
It was enough. Enough for a formal warning. Enough to make sure he stayed away.
And then, like air leaving a balloon, the storm deflated.
Fast. He stopped calling. His social media went dark.
Word got around, quietly but quickly, that he was no longer welcome at his former job's co-working space. A few contracts he'd talked about fell through.
People stepped back. He faded.
And I stood still, finally, in a room that was mine again.
Not shaken. Not broken.
Ready. The real victory isn't in watching them fall, it's in never needing to look back.
Life didn't snap back into place. It unfolded. Slowly, honestly.
No cinematic montages, no dramatic triumphs. Just long walks with Claire, peaceful mornings without dread, and a phone that stopped buzzing with chaos. The absence of him, his voice, his drama, his weight on my choices, felt like sunlight on skin I hadn't realized was cold for months. His family kept in touch.
Not out of guilt, out of gratitude.
His mother sent me a letter.
Handwritten.
Said she was sorry for believing his performance.
That if I ever needed anything, her door was open. I never took her up on it. But I kept the letter. It mattered. Denise and I stayed connected.
Turned out we liked each other far more than we ever liked him. She introduced me to people she worked with. Real professionals.
No ego. No games.
A few months later, I started freelancing again, design work, consulting, small but fulfilling.
Then there was someone new. Not a love story. Not yet.
Just a quiet friendship with someone who asked more questions than he answered.
Who listened.
Who never once made me feel small, or like I needed to shrink to be worth his time.
My apartment became my sanctuary again. No longer a place to hide, but to breathe. I painted. I rearranged furniture. I donated every single thing he'd left behind, including the stupid mug that said CEO Fuel. I don't talk about him anymore. Not because I'm afraid. Because I'm done.
People sometimes ask how I stayed so graceful through it all.
The truth? I wasn't. I cried. I screamed into pillows. I doubted myself every step of the way. But I kept choosing to move forward, even when it hurt. Even when it was slow. And that's the win. He wanted me small. Wanted me quiet. Wanted me shattered and begging to be let back in. But I'm not small. I'm not quiet. I'm free. And I chose me.